Hi, my name is Audrey, and I am here today with my mother, Julie. We are honored to have been asked to share our perspective on finding our purpose after brain injury. We feel so passionate about giving back to our brain injured community. Dr. Jabeel, Dr. Driver, and Patty, as well as many others, have done so much to help me and to help us during my recovery. And we always want to give back. They feel like family. For my mother and myself, family is absolutely everything. My severe TBI was from a car accident over 7 years ago. So much of my recovery I do not remember, but my family has told me many stories. I know I would not be where I am today without the help of so many people. My mother, Julie, has been with me every step of the way. I would like for her to start today by sharing her perspective as a caregiver.
When I was asked to share my perspective on finding purpose after brain injury as a caregiver, I was a bit skeptical. In my life, I'm going through some transitions, and I've been grappling with redefining my purpose. I've been thinking lots about some of the lessons that I've learned throughout my life. I have a large family, and they love to tell stories, some true and most embellished. Many stories passed down had to do with quotes or sayings that someone in our family had said. My papa, my grandfather, was quite a character. I remember him saying, "I feel so unnecessary." My interpretation was that he was not struggling with his relevance. He was expressing that he really didn't want to participate in whatever event that was happening. He didn't want to be bothered, and he wanted someone to let him off the hook. Of all the countless things for me to remember, I'm not sure why this particular memory came to me, but it resonated with how I've been feeling. Our topic, purpose, is something that I've grappled with as of late. Why me? Who am I really to offer my opinion? I'm not sure I even know what my purpose is right now. But I considered what I would advise someone else to do in this exact predicament. I know I would tell my children or anyone else who would listen, your story matters, and you can't mess up if you speak from your heart. The way that I perceive my story is different from everyone else. So I would like to share my experiences with you about finding purpose. Purpose is the motivating force of our lives. It's what gets us up in the morning. It guides our life decisions, influences our behavior, shapes our goals, and offers a sense of direction to our lives. Purpose has other meanings: focus, attention, where you put your energy, scope, etc. For today, I'm only using the word purpose for emphasis. Whatever it is to you, it's yours. It's worth mentioning that as we change throughout our lives, purpose also changes or evolves with us. Right now, each of us are in a different place. Some of you may have a strong sense of purpose, while others still may be trying to determine yours. I want to provide a framework of how I define purpose. All of us meeting today have a lot in common. We share in knowing how brain injury can alter the meaning of our lives. But we are also all very different. Each of us is unique with our thoughts, interests, and experiences. Therefore, our perspectives are very different. Our purpose is formed from these perspectives. I'm not an expert on anything, but I have learned so much through my experience as a caregiver for my daughter with a severe TBI. I hope that sharing what I've learned can help others see that we are all necessary. We are valuable exactly how we are at this moment. Within each of us lies the power, the drive, whatever you want to call it, to achieve whatever it is that we want or need. It's easy, once you're beyond a stressful situation, to see things more clearly. When I look back over the past 7 years since Audrey's accident, I can see so many instances, both good and horrible, that turned into opportunities that resulted in growth. I think the message to be gained is nothing ever stays the same, no matter if it's good or if it's bad. Back then, I never put words to my feelings, but the statement that makes sense to me the most now is do what you can with what you have, wherever you are, by doing the next right thing, and find the joy along the way. I feel like that is my purpose. So as I reflect on that statement, I want to share the elements that led me to discovering this. Immediately after Audrey's injury, I learned a valuable lesson. I learned that purpose is not something that you pursue. It's what drives us, gives us reason for getting through. Purpose is in the now. The saying hindsight is 20/20 comes to mind. I don't know that mine is actually that clear, but I can look back to before the accident and see that I was so swallowed up in the daily grind and that I was blinded to so much. Always projecting to the future, thinking ahead, and controlling whatever came next. I think I was always running. I remember the time shortly after Audrey's accident, almost like a dream state. I think that's the first time I was ever truly aware of my breath. I remember thinking, just breathe, just breathe, just breathe. It calmed my swarming thoughts to the point that I could focus on what I was able to process or handle at that very moment. This fascinates me, as I have always been interested in and studied how we think and behave, yet I didn't have the perspective of living through that type of trauma. Living in the now, or bringing your attention to right now, is a basic element of being mindful. I think if anyone had asked me what my purpose was then, I would have said to make sure I am physically here for Audrey, just in case I can do something, whatever her immediate need was, regardless of the future. Audrey was on life support, so really all I could do was just be there. I felt like we had to stay focused on the now, not letting our mind wander to what may happen. Now was all that I had and all I could focus on. The next thing I learned was gratitude for what we have. I started noticing and embracing the love and friendship that surrounded us in our darkest hours. Family, friends, acquaintances, and even strangers that shared their empathy and kindness with us. It felt as if we had fallen and others were taking care of our needs. The hospital staff came from all different backgrounds and walks of life. Audrey needed each of their gifts and perspective to help her, so they were all necessary. Audrey's neurosurgeon and his skill of doing his thing, the chaplains that met with us even in the middle of the night to talk or to just sit with us, the young research associate who went out of her way every day to let us know she cared for each member of our family, even my young children. The janitorial staff that took pride in the way that they cleaned while also offering a smile brought us light. The volunteer who shared their positive energy that came from a deep understanding. The brilliant Dr. Dubiel and how she shared her authenticity with how she relates to her patients. I find it so powerful to recognize there is something to gain even in the darkest of times. Gratitude enables us to continue to move through, and I am truly grateful for all those that have been with us. We had also started paying attention to other families of patients and also the staff to see if we could give them access to whatever they needed to be more comfortable. It made me feel like we could make a difference, which brought us comfort. Not to say that all of this happened for a reason, but rather that we could find a good reason in what was happening. As I recognized the importance of others, I began to realize the necessity of each and all of us. We discovered wherever you are, do the next right thing for another person. When I reflect back, I can recognize that at each step we found joy. Sometimes it was harder than others to locate those little pockets of joy, that kept me moving. We hung on to hope. Hope that Audrey would keep improving, and also we cherished the people and relationships that shared that same hope. I've always said, happiness is a situation, but joy is based on your state of mind. This past November marked 7 years from Audrey's accident. When I look back to see how far she has come and to recognize how much we've been touched by the relationships that we formed along the way, I'm overcome with gratitude as well as deep, deep pride. My scope or purpose has widened beyond help for just Audrey, but also for anyone impacted by a TBI. It took me a while to realize my primary dream of Audrey having her own voice had become a reality. For years now, I'd been operating from a standpoint of making decisions based on what I imagined that Audrey would want. Now she can do it. I've been making that same observation over and over, but never to this degree. Audrey really doesn't need me anymore. I needed to shift my focus, my purpose, from what are my goals for Audrey to how can I help her with the goals that she has set for herself. This shook my world. I realized that I needed to step back. I guess I felt unnecessary. So much personal things had also been going on. My other 3 children, who are now young adults, have reached milestones in their education and plans towards their own life goals. We were all dealing with the death of my father-in-law after a long and painful battle with Alzheimer's, and soon after the death of my father, who had been an integral part of our life and Audrey's recovery. Then COVID hit. Wow, not only was my world turned upside down, but it felt like the whole world had been turned upside down. As I reflect on this past year, I see these life events as opportunities to revisit my purpose. It seems to me when we slow down, everything we have been running from slams us. I had to come to terms with the fact that although I take pride in healthy lifestyle, I recognize that is not all it takes to be healthy. Sounds a bit dramatic, but I now had a chance to deal with all of the emotions that I had long suppressed to keep moving. I needed to slow down to be able to rest in what is, and also to ask myself really hard questions like, what is my purpose? And how do I feel? And what do I need? I'd spent so much of my life telling people they were worthy and to give themselves more credit. But I had to admit that I too had to let go of the illusion that validation comes from outside of ourselves. All of this information is readily available, especially as messages specific to caregivers. But I really didn't think that it applied to me. I never felt that slowing down was an option. I had not allowed myself to be still long enough to rest in what is. I realized I'm really good at taking care of other people, but I don't know how to take care of me. This is my point. We are all necessary, but if we don't take care of ourselves first, then we are already behind. It takes us all working together to make a difference. We don't all have the same needs, and what works for one person may or may not work for someone else. I think we have to start where we are. We don't have to be perfect. Just be yourself. Taking care of yourself means being okay with you as you are right now. Be grateful for you. Serve others, but don't forget about your needs. Find joy in where you are. You don't have to be perfect. I have different mental snapshots of Audrey throughout her recovery, also of others that are recovering, that are so hurt and deeply confused. Even in that state, they all have so much value. Everything doesn't have to be good to be necessary. There's a story about comparing something under pressure to an orange under pressure. When you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. Thinking back to the instances when others didn't have goodness to share, it was just an expression of where they were at that time. I now see that negativity as the fuel that both Audrey and I needed at the time, and I'm also thankful for their influence. And the point that I'm trying to make is, It takes all of us wherever we are. We each have our uniqueness, our culture, life experiences, interests, strengths, and weaknesses that make each individual who they are. And what we choose to do with that, our gifts, is what defines our true purpose. I thank all of you for listening to me today, and I hope that sharing my experiences may
Mama and I spend so much time together, and we talk all the time to make some sense out of everything. We have drawn so many parallels between brain injury and normal personal growth. It's all the same. It boils down to how you look at things. From the first moment of my recovery until now, there's one phrase that I have kept in mind. Nothing is impossible. Here's what I think that means. We have everything we need. We just have to figure out how to access it. I'm so fortunate to be able to interact with people with different struggles. And the universal theme appears to be everyone struggles with recognizing that they are enough. Everyone deals with being necessary, and life happens so fast. It seems like we need to rest in what is, then the next steps will appear. Finding your thing begins with trusting your intuition. There is a gap between what we have and what we want. Filling that gap between what we have now and what we want is doing the work. The work starts with trusting yourself. Each of us has the capability of making a difference. Take care of yourself in every way. Start with exactly where you are. You do not have to be perfect. Just be yourself. I feel that purpose is not something you achieve or discover. It is the essence of how you approach the world. Purpose is about right now, knowing you are relevant exactly how you are. Even if you do not recognize it, it is there. You can make a difference. Do what you can with what you have, wherever you are, to do the next right thing and find joy along the way. I hope that by sharing our stories, our thoughts, and our experience helps at least someone in this process. Even when we feel like we are not necessary, everyone needs to feel relevant. We are all just trying to make sense out of our lives. My desire is to do that for my family, myself, and for you. That is my purpose. Today there will be presentations on topics that can aid in finding purpose. Our focus, our perspective, and our needs drive purpose. Use these presentations to evaluate where you are, what you want your focus to be on, and adjust your purpose to your current state. The topics that will be discussed are maintaining a healthy lifestyle through diet and exercise, getting good sleep, having a good support network, being resilient, employment or volunteering,